Assalamualaikum and good morning. A bit to all the doctors, especially to Dr. Zainab. Today, I'm going to present my SSM project, which is about neurosurgery. First, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Maisarah Sufiyyah with the matrix number BM24110074. Now, let's see. What is neurosurgery? Neurosurgery is the medical specialty that is concerned with the diagnosis and treatment of patients with injury or diseases of the brain, spinal cord, spinal column, and the peripheral nerve within all parts of the body. So, in this presentation, I will focus on the anatomy, physiology, and the biochemistry part of the organs that is included in neurosurgery. First of all, we are going to talk about the anatomy of the nervous system. Now for the nervous system. The nervous system consists of two parts, which is the central nervous system and also the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, it has two components, the brain and the spinal cord. Meanwhile, the peripheral nervous system, it consists of nerves that is joined to the brain and spinal cord and their ramification within the body. The spinal nerves serving the upper or lower limbs coalesce to form the brachial or lumbar plexus, within which fibers are redistributed into named peripheral nerves. Now we are going to talk about the anatomy of the brain. The brain is divided into three major parts, which is the forebrain, midbrain, and also the hindbrain. I'm going to talk about three of the specialized structure, which is the hypothalamus, medulla oblongata, and also the cerebellum. Hypothalamus can be found in the forebrain. It is located just below the thalamus and above the pituitary gland. Medulla oblongata can be found in the brainstem, located below the pons and above the spinal cord. Cerebellum, however, is situated at the back of the brain. It is located below the occipital lobe and behind the brainstem. Now, moving on to the plexus. Plexus can be divided into two, which is the brachial plexus and also the lumbar plexus. Brachial plexus is the network of nerve that can be located in the neck and upper shoulder region, extending from the cervical spine, C5 until T1, to the axilla, which is our armpit. Lumbar plexus is the network of nerve that can be located in the lower back, which is in the lumbar region within the psoas major muscle. It is formed by the ramification of the L1 until L4 spinal nerve with the occasional contribution from the T12. Moving on to the cell of the nervous system, which is the neuron in neuroglia. But today I'm going to only focus on the anatomy of the neuron. So as you can see in the picture, there's a major part of the neuron which is called the cell body. The cell body contains nucleus and other organelles such as mitochondria and ribosome. And you can see there's a tree-like branching up from the cell body. This is called dendrites. And there's a long projection extending from the cell body, which is called axon. Axon is connected to the cell body via axon hillock. And you can also see there's other components in the axon such as oligodendrocyte, myelin sheath, and also norepinephrine vein. And at the terminal of the neurons, there's this axon terminal. In the axon terminal, branching out from the axon terminal is the synaptic end box. This synapse will connect the end of the one neuron to the dendrites of other neuron cells. Now let's move on to the physiology part of the neurosurgery. Now I'm going to talk about the function of our central nervous system, which is the brain and our spinal cord. The brain, as we know, is for a cognitive and thinking function, motor control, and sensory process. Spinal cord is for transmitting signal, reflex action, and also coordination of our movement. Now, for the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is divided into two, which is somatic and also autonomic. Somatic nervous system, the function is to control voluntary movement of our skeletal muscle. Autonomic nervous system, however, is to regulate involuntary function like heart rate, digestion, and respiration. It is divided to two, which is parasympathetic and also sympathetic. Parasympathetic is more to rest and digest, such as when we are sleeping. Sympathetic is when we are having a fight or flight situation, such as when we are chased by a dog or a serial killer. Now let's talk about the biochemistry aspect of neurosurgery. The first one is neurotransmitter. Before I explain to you the type of neurotransmitter, I'm going to talk about what is neurotransmitter. So, neurotransmitter is a chemical messenger that transmits signal between nerve or between neurons to other targeted cells such as muscle or glands. The first example of neurotransmitter is glutamate. Glutamate is a primary excitatory neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. The second one is acetylcholine, which is crucial for neuromuscular transmission and autonomic function. The third one is gamma aminobutyric acid, which is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter to maintaining neuronal balance. And the last one is dopamine, which we know to modulate mood, behavior, and motor control. The second part is ions and membrane potential. So, as we know, ions are sodium and potassium. Meanwhile, the membrane potential is either resting or action potential. And I'm going to talk more in details about this in the next slide. Okay, now let's take a look at the action potential graph. So this is a graph of membrane potential against time. So there are 5 major phases in this graph, and I'm going to talk about the first phase, which is the resting potential phase. In this phase, the sodium and potassium channels are both closed, and it goes to the second phase, which is the depolarization, which is the phase where the sodium channels open and the sodium flux causes the membrane to rest above the resting potential and up to the peak action potential. Then it goes down to the resting potential again. So this phase is called repolarization. In this phase, the potassium channels open and the potassium flux causes the membrane to drop to the resting level. And then, as you can see in the graph, it goes below the resting level. This is the phase called hyperpolarization. In this phase, the potassium channels remain open. And the last phase is the returning to the resting membrane. In this phase, both the sodium and potassium ion ATPase pump restore the ion balance. Now we are going to look at the thesis and treatment of a related neurological condition. Now let's talk about Parkinson's disease. What is Parkinson's disease? Parkinson's disease is a movement disorder of the nervous system that worsens over time. The symptoms are tremor, bradykinesia, which means slowness of all movement, and speed changes. It is caused by the loss of dopaminergic neurons. Dopaminergic neurons is the neurons that synthesize dopamine. The loss of dopamine neurons disrupt the communication between the substantia nigra and the striatum, leading to motor symptoms such as tremor, bradykinesia, and speed changes. There are 2 treatments of Parkinson's disease, but there are no real treatment because we can only help them because it is a genetic condition. So the first treatment is levodopa. Levodopa is like a pills, a combination medicine that increase the amount of dopamine in the brain, and it is the most common medication. The second one is rehabilitation. We can do physiotherapy, strength training, gait and balance training, or hydrotherapy. Now for the last part, I'm going to talk about one of the most famous specialists. Now for the last part. So the person that you're looking right now is called Dr. Benjamin Carson. Dr. Benjamin Carson is an American neurosurgeon that is best known for performing the first successful separation of conjoined twins at the back of the head in 1987. Dr. Ben Carson has shown courage and bravery by performing such a risky and hard case that other surgeons are not dared to do at the moment. Even though he knows that the patient have low chance of surviving this surgery, he still try his best for the 22 hours in the operating room, with all his might and strength, trying his best to save his patient. And amazingly, he did. The twins alive and able to breathe and live like everyone else. His courage and determination is what makes him special. And he also makes me believe that being a surgeon is truly amazing because we can do with our knowledge and skill to help people in need and help them even with the hardest and complicated cases. We can still try our best to help them. That's all from me. Thank you so much for lending your ears. Have a good day.